All right, I haven't really talked about this because it has been a couple of days. I had some other things. Definitely had to do the Saturday morning 1979, which I got a fucking copyright claim. Might have been the Popeye stuff. I hope it's just the Popeye stuff because that stuff goes to public domain in 2 years, unless King Features or whoever runs Popeye tries to pull a fast one like Warren Beatty. Well, they got Popeye's chicken, but really, I mean, last time they tried to do Popeye in CGI was the Emoji Movie, right? How was that? How was that movie? Did you like the Emoji Movie? Would you rather watch Emoji Movie than Super Mario Brothers? So this is another animated feature. So obviously not Zack Snyder, but this is the Justice League. I guess it's called Justice League War World. That's what it's called. Now, I mean, most of the animated stuff always looks. I've talked about this with Injustice. I got 6 or 7 views for why the Injustice movie would be an injustice, and I went over all this. Now, this is an exclusive interview from Hollywood Reporter about the casting, because I guess, this is the look of it. So it's very similar to the art from The Long Halloween. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and take a look. The Justice League is going to war the upcoming summer animated summer because we're not getting any Justice League from Zack, and it's going to be a while before James Gunn does anything. So this is a home release. Justice League War World has unveiled its cast, which is top lined by Jensen Ackles as Batman. He's returning. Officer Wayne. So it's an Elseworlds kind of thing. Stana Katic, I remember very well as Wonder Woman. Stana Katic played the Hippolyta Wonder Woman for the what is it? Justice Society World War II, and she's Diana Prince, of course, and Darren Criss as Superman Agent Kent. I think Darren Criss might have done the Superman Man of Tomorrow cartoon, which had Lobo in it. So Warner Bros. Animation, DC. So this is Discovery Home Entertainment are behind the project, of course. So let's see. The official synopsis reads: Until now, the Justice League have been a loose association of superpowered individuals. But when they are swept away to War World, a place of unending brutal gladiatorial combat, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and the others must somehow unite to form an unbeatable resistance able to lead an entire planet to freedom. The cast also includes Amadi as Martian Manhunter John Jones, Troy Baker as Jonah Hex, Matt Bomer as Old Man, Roger C. Cross as Machiste, I don't know who that is in the comics, Brett Dalton as Batlash, Trevor Duvall as Drifter, John DiMaggio as Lobo, Robin Atkin Downs is Mongol, Frank Grillo is Agent Faraday, Rachel Kimsey as Mariah Romanova, David Lodge as Sheriff, and Damian O'Hare as Deimos, and Teddy Sears as Warlord. Um, Executive producers include Butch Lukic, whatever, Long Halloween, and then Savage. We got Michael Uslan, who's the great producer who does a lot of things. He's the executive producer. Jeff Waymaster, Legion of Superheroes directs. I think it did not. The Legion of Superheroes Supergirl cartoon did not get great reviews. Directs from a script by Jeremy Adams, Supernatural. These are the different people. Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which was very, very good. A good final chapter. She-Ra, the Princesses of Power. The producers are Jim Krieg, The Doom That Came to Gotham. All right. Now, I've talked a little bit. I'm sorry if I'm showing this to you in portrait mode, but sometimes it's easier. But we will be I'll be putting a thumbnail, a widescreen thumbnail for this. So sometimes I do this one way, sometimes I do it another way. It's however I present these videos to you. Now, when I think of War World and Superman, you know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Superman and the Authority. I'm thinking about Superman and Manchester Black and June Moon. What's her name? Enchantress. I'm thinking about Steel, Natasha Irons. I'm thinking about Lightspeed, Light Ray, whatever her name is, Midnighter, and his husband Apollo, who's light and dark. And then you got Omac, and all of these people looked up to Superman for guidance. And this wasn't just any Superman. Oh no, no, this was like a middle-aged Superman that Grant Morrison created. And somehow it started out as out of continuity and became in continuity to lead into the Action Comics stuff, which we see here. I don't think, at worst, this cartoon will be shit or below average, and at best, it'll be average. Because I feel like all the superheroes of the DC universe going up against Darkseid, and this one in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was like the best that it could ever get, right? Because this was like the great final chapter. And final chapter in terms of, like, if you watched previous superhero movies, like this was like the equivalent of what the Avengers Endgame was. So if you liked Endgame, you should like this as its own thing without trying to follow the cartoons too much. Though I did like the first time Batman and Damian Wayne teamed up. I thought it was a traditional Batman and Robin story, but Damian Wayne likes to kill people. That's how it was in the 2000s or 2010s or so, whatever it was, whenever that cartoon came out. And so you got, and these are everybody here. Here's everyone. Okay, Omac, she gave herself up to get her girlfriend back, and there's the unmade, the army here for Mongol. So the animation stuff has been mostly good, but the recent entries have been less than par for the course, I guess. We all expect the cartoons to do as well as they had done years ago. I think they're starting to wane. I think they're not having the impact. I remember watching Justice Society with Sana Kadek's a good Wonder Woman. The problem was that they had the Nazis as the bad guys. I feel like the Nazis being the bad guys is very lazy writing now. Oh, they're Nazis. They shoot guns. We kill them all. It's like, that's like kindergarten level, right? I mean, I'd rather see a story where a Nazi changes his ways and, like, drops the swastika, and maybe he fights for the good guys and stuff. I mean, that's a kind of a better. It's a little dark, but it's like, hey, we're not kids waiting to bash the stormtroopers. Some of these stories are more for teenagers to adults, young adults. You got to treat us like that. So some of the newer cartoons to me are a bit of an insult, and I don't really care for them. I haven't really cared for the Diet Snyder movies that we've had for the last 6 years, but we're moving on to another universe with no hope of an Elseworlds return. Titans, I think, is ending. Doom Patrol, I think, is done. And what else have we got? What else have we got to look forward to? I think Superman and Lois might go another season or two. I don't know. See, I heard that the CW is selling off some CBS owned stations. I'm not sure what they're trying to do. What they're doing a reshuffle here, doing a little lottery here. I was thinking of Mongol in the story of Injustice. Now, Injustice was a great series of books and video games that if you read it from year zero, right, the prequel, all the way to Masters of the Universe, greatest DC Universe story ever. It was like the greatest fan film ever made. You just had to sit and read it. That was the problem. If you can sit and read it, great. If it could have been made into a motion comic with some voice acting, I think it would be just as good as reading it. You could sit there and watch the TV and eat a nice dinner, you bachelors out there. But Mongol was in that, and of course I talked about how the 70-minute video is shit. The 70-minute movie was shit. It wasn't going to be great. Okay, Justin Hartley's not at fault, but the cartoon was not that great. It was just, everything was shoehorned. But Mongol was in Injustice. I remember Mongol would challenge Hawkman to a fight, and it was a fight of Mortal Kombat to beat Mongol in 30 seconds. I think if it was Mongol from this story, from what Grant Morrison wrote, or what Kennedy Johnson wrote, I think Mongol would have wagered Thanagars as slaves, because Mongol in the war world, his deal is that he takes people off their planet and enslaves them on his war world planet. This guy's a fucking bastard. Now, war world is sort of the 80s version of Death Star from the Star Wars. And that to me was like this is the ultimate bad guy. And I knew when I went through when I reviewed all of these, and I'll I'll make another short to announce my new playlist for these. I think if I haven't done it already, if I haven't put up a playlist for this, I'm going to put up a playlist and I'll make a post. But if you don't see Superman War World reviews in my playlist section, I'm going to make one. Okay, because I want you to look at all of those issues. But I knew even before that this was going to have to end with Mongul getting killed. I knew Superman wouldn't have killed Mongul. I knew Mongul would have died another way. Maybe the children would have killed him, the kids who loved and worshipped Mongul. But Mongul was a fucking bastard. He had the gladiatorial games, that is the commonplace of all Mongol. And he would just take people against their will. But there was this whole Masters of the Universe, find the holy thing. And once you get the power, you can stop Mongol. But it was a way to get the power and then restore the power to his fellow Kryptonians. There were Kryptonians that had left Krypton long before Krypton exploded, and he found those people asked for his help, and there was a whole council of people that who were kind of like the Jedi Council, but there were different alien species who were watching Superman get impaled by Mongul and didn't do shit, right? So the whole thing was about old Superman taking these people who were like, especially Manchester Black, who were broken people, and taking them and training them. He saw that they had more potential to do good than evil. And he took those people, he tested them against the Ultra Humanite and just all kinds of evil things out there. And once he got them worked up enough, they would go on a spaceship to go and find Warworld and free the slaves. That would take a whole year because it wasn't going to be done quickly. I mean, if it wasn't for the Red Suns that powered Warworld, because Mongol knew that Superman could stop him at any time, that story would have been done before it even started. But the Red Suns stopped Superman from functioning, and Superman, much like Batman in The Dark Knight Rises, was in a purgatory. And I remember Chris Stuckman said that was his most favorite movie of all three movies. The Dark Knight Rises was Christian Bale losing his freedom and being put into this prison back to where he was training to be Batman. Because in this time in the jail cells where he was in the first movie, he was going through purgatory and what does it mean to be Batman and Bruce Wayne, and why are you doing all this stuff? Superman is contemplating his mortality, maybe his immortality, but his wife Lois and his son John Kent and his friends and the Justice League and everyone else that he knew, but he has no powers and he's in the jail cell. And Midnighter was like leading another team of people. Midnighter is like a broken guy too. These are all broken people. Or she's probably the most upstanding, right? Because everybody knows Steel, John Henry Irons, and they're Superman, they're friends, right? So everyone knows everyone well enough. But when we get to Midnighter, he says, why don't we just free them? And he was not going to kill people on that war world by taking out the Red Suns. Those things power the planet. But they figure out a way, Natasha figures out a way to change the sun from red to yellow and still keep everyone alive so that Superman would get his powers back. And then we get the Star Forge of some kind and get the ultimate power that Mongul wanted to begin with. And he wasn't going to get that power because Superman was one step ahead of him. This is like He-Man's story, and that Kennedy Johnson wanted to keep it that way. And I suggested Henry Cavill should have read that. I thought, but at the time, before James Gunn made changes, that Henry Cavill could do a two-part movie like this, right? The first part, Superman falls and loses, and the second part, he wins. But that's just kind of how it would be. In all this time, you learn about the purgatory. These heroes, okay? These one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. These 8 heroes, okay? The 7 disciples of Superman, okay, are are fighting these gladiatorial games. They're told that they're chains. They're gaslit. A lot of the people are gaslit into thinking that the chains that are holding them make them powerful, but they're chains. It's slavery. It's chains. Everybody understands this. She understands that. So, in all this time, this is about a Superman who Grant Morrison wrote to be middle aged to begin with. Okay. And he very much reminds me of Christopher McDonald's voice acting of Superman and Jor-El in the Batman Beyond, the Superman series. Um, just this guy who sounds a little immoral. He seems a bit jaded, a less emotional, more jaded, but not completely jaded to saying, okay, I'm jaded to the fact that I do understand all the things that are happening and why the bad things happen and why I have to do these to solve these problems. But I also think that there it's not the worst thing in the world, and I'm going to trust all of you to help. We got to clean this up. It's somewhere short of what evil Superman was doing in Injustice. Now we go back to the cartoon, and I'm 16 minutes in doing all this stuff, trying to explain all this. When we go back to the cartoon, it's not going to have that. It's going to have, the Justice. I don't know if it's going to be an Elseworlds or if this is going to be something else. I don't know what exactly is happening here, but it feels like an Elseworlds story. That's what we're kind of getting here. But I feel like with this, it's going to be everybody doesn't know, they don't have much experience, and they're fighting in the games. Now, of course, there was a Mongol episode in Justice League, and Powers Booth, I think, did the voice. And it was sort of the same deal in which the Justice League would fight Mongol, but obviously it's a little different. Um, I'll let somebody else review that. I really am not in the mood, or maybe I will. You know what? Maybe you can let me know in the comments section. But if I do review it, I'm going to draw comparisons. But I do not think it will be as good as this, because what this was a unique experience for Superman to cross into, and this cartoon I think will rob people. This will be another Justice League story. They go fight Mongol. It's like, okay, and what else happens? So we'll see. If you like this video, if it's good enough for you, you see those buttons below, you know what to do. I hope this will be visited upon. This particular theme. Doubt it. Maybe in live action. What is James Gunn up to now?